With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm on a mission to provide better nutrition for cats and dogs because truthfully, all pet food is dead food, which is why we created Rough Greens and Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All in a tasty formula that your dog and cat will love. You can improve your pet's coat, digestion, energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code BESTFRIEND. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com, use promo code BESTFRIEND. Bring your pet's food back to life with Rough Greens. So good, your pet will ask for it by name.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This show is sponsored by Den 10 Insurance Services, helping businesses get the right insurance for all their insurance needs. Visit den10.io to get a quote. DENTEN.io. And remember, when you buy an insurance policy from Den 10, you're giving back on a global scale. Hello, all my entrepreneurs and business leaders, and welcome to the Michael Esposito Show, where I interview titans of industry in order to inform, educate, and inspire you to be great. My guest today has a knack for building lasting relationships. She has led fundraising efforts that raised over $3 million, moving her ministry from financial struggles to abundance. Her record-breaking fundraising initiatives have saved thousands of lives, leaving a lasting impact on the community. Recognizing donor retention as key to community service, she effectively communicates with donors to inspire actions for long-term impact. She aims to aid over 100,000 nonprofit leaders in doubling their raised funds to broaden their community impact by 2028. She is the CEO of A Center of Hope CPC, Inc., and a certified behavioral consultant. Please welcome Carol Fairman. Welcome, Carol.
Hi, it's good to be here today. Thank you.
I know. We've been having a nice little conversation prior to getting on the air, and I think what's so fascinating about your bio there is you raised over $3 million. You put an emphasis on communicating to donors. Before we got on the air, you talked a little bit about speaking on stages and speaking in public and sharing the mission of your organization with so many people, and taking this organization that was essentially failing, or I hate to say that about an organization, but essentially not meeting its goals. And you just 10x'd it, 12x'd it, 100x'd it to where it is today. And you did that in a large part by trusting in your team and by working with your community, but in a large part also by communicating and speaking out in public. And the reason why I bring this up right now is because you have a little secret to tell everyone. Do you want to share that little secret with everyone about your public speaking?
Oh, that I don't enjoy it? Is that the secret that you're talking about? I was like, oh, I got a few secrets right now, but
that's
yeah,
the
that
secret. One? Yeah, and the reason why I want to bring that up right away is because, of course, you and I were just talking about it in terms of you getting on the podcast and feeling some nerves there, but also because you pushed a fear aside in order to do good for others. You took something, you knew that by becoming the CEO of this organization, that you'd be the face of the organization, and that it would be required of you to communicate with the community, the donors, and everybody, and not just through an email or a memo, but through face-to-face interactions, through getting on stages, through standing in public at Chamber of Commerce's, business associations, all the rest of the things where you're in front of a large audience, and you push those fears aside in order to help others. And I just want to commend you for that because, of course, I mentioned to you that, my background is in, of course, public speaking, coaching and training and all that other stuff. And so I understand the challenge and the fear behind it all. But also as an entrepreneur, as somebody who aspires to be like someone like you, it is inspiring to see someone just push fear out of the way to do good for others. So you're an inspiration.
Thank you. You're very kind to say. But it was not easy. And, sometimes it's like you just got to get out there, get it done and do it. And you just got to push it all aside. There was no choice. I accepted a job that I didn't fully understand what all those responsibilities were going to be. And when they said, okay, well, the next phase of your training and stepping into the executive director of this ministry is you're going to start speaking, on stages and raising money. And I'm like, you're kidding me because I don't do that. I don't know how to do it, and I don't do that. And they're like, oh, well, you're going to learn. And so it was sink or swim.
What are some of the feelings that you get or that you used to get, you might still get them now. What were some of the feelings that you would get before going out on stage and speaking?
Oh, it was awful at first. And I just want to just kind of zip ahead to the time that I am not anxious to step up to a microphone means that I'm too big for my britches and it's time to step away because I don't want to lose sight of that. I don't ever want to get so cocky that I think, oh, I can just do this. But it was so bad. I literally would just want to vomit, and the sweats and the fear, the dry throat. I mean, it was just, I couldn't sleep the night before. Most of my venues, I usually speak in about 25 to 30, maybe 38 churches a year. So every Sunday I'm usually at a different church, plus sprinkling in, chambers and events. And I would just have these terrifying nightmares the night before, like I'd show up at the wrong location, right? That was always the worst. And you get there and you realize you're like, oh no, I'm on the other side of the county. How am I going to get there? It was awful. So it was all this built up fear. And then when you get up there, you're just sweating, anxious, and then you think, well, what if I get it wrong? Well, they don't know what you were going to say. How are they even going to know that I get it wrong? So it's just all these things that would just get in the way, and I would just, it was so crippling. Thank God it's not like that for me anymore, but I still get nervous just in different ways.
Why is it not like that for you anymore?
I think, this is year 7 for me in the public speaking. And so I've just kind of put some tips and tricks in place for myself. And so I think it's just recognizing that nothing bad's going to happen to me. And more importantly, I'm in a room full of people that are excited to hear what I have to say. So I'm my own enemy in this, really. Because I've been invited to speak, so it's not like they're going to throw tomatoes at me or whatever that looks like, because you're invited to be here. They want you to succeed, but we get caught up in the junk in our head.
What were some of the tips that you mentioned that you thought about? Oh,
my favorite tip is I wear glasses to see for distance. And so when I walk up to the stage, I need them if I'm in a live, and I'll step up because I don't want to trip and then, make a fool of myself. But the glasses go in my hair.
With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm on a mission to provide better nutrition for cats and dogs because truthfully, all pet food is dead food, which is why we created Rough Greens and Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more, all in a tasty formula that your dog and cat will love. You can improve your pet's coat, digestion, energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code BESTFRIEND. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com, use promo code BESTFRIEND. Bring your pet's food back to life with Rough Greens. So good, your pet will ask for it by name.
Or on the podium, and then I can't see anybody, right? I mean, I see them, but I can't necessarily see like if they're scowling at me. And so all of a sudden, I'm just having a party because the room is just like they're a bunch of blurry people and I can't tell. And so that's the biggest thing, because if I can't make eye contact really with them, then it's all good. So I'm just, that's my favorite tip. But other than that, it's just, yeah.
That's an interesting tip. That one makes me think about changing your reality and changing the story you're telling yourself. In that you're going up there telling yourself a story, and you're physically changing that whole story by taking your glasses off. You're going, you know what? There aren't that many people, and they all just kind of blend in with each other, and I want them all to smile, and so they're all smiling.
That's it. And so that was the biggest game changer. And then everything else just settles down. And so once I implemented that, it just gets easier and easier. And then just with practice, showing up, keeping unfortunately also my messaging is very consistent. And so, and when I figured out how to connect with them in a way that matters, it just makes it easy. I get nervous for different reasons now, mostly, am I going to hit the goal? I don't know. So it's just watching myself grow and develop in the process. It's been fun. It's been a fun journey. And I've gone from a place to really where I'm more excited to get on stage now, because I know that I'm connecting people to things that they could do or how they can get involved, whether it's volunteering or giving to support it so somebody else can, and just being able to say thank you. And so once I learned to shift that messaging and hold on to what it's going to do for somebody else, and it has nothing to do with me. They don't know that I'm afraid. They don't know if I'm going to miss or say something wrong. They don't care. They just want to hear the good news and what they can do or how they can connect with it. So it's a game changer when you get out of your head.
Yeah. And I mean, huge game changer when you get out of your head. Couple of things that you're saying there. And on that topic, what you just said there, when you get out of your head, I forget who it was, but he said, when I stopped listening to myself and I started talking to myself, everything changed. And so because when we listen to ourselves, we're hearing all of the negative thoughts that are trying to keep us safe. They're trying to keep us safe, right? They're trying to say, stay behind the curtain. You won't have to face all of those scowls that you're afraid of, right? Stay behind the curtain. You won't trip on the stage. Stay behind the curtain. You won't swallow the wrong way when you drink that sip of water. Stay behind the curtain. But if you start talking to yourself and you say, I need to go out there and I want to go out there and I need to spread this message. So I love that, and you just made me think about that. Quick question for you in terms of, you said, I love these different tips that you put out there, because they are tips that I 1,000% stand behind, which is practice, 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 practice. I'm a Toastmaster. I practice weekly. I go to my Toastmasters meetings, and I don't look at anybody from one level to another. There are beginners in my Toastmasters club that are nervous and that stutter meaning like they say a lot of ums and they aren't able to get their thought across very clearly, all the way to one of my mentors who's a professional speaker. And I still go as I guess a professional speaker and practice and rehearse there. And I think practice is one of the best ways to quell your fears. Another thing that you mentioned was consistency in your message. And I think another one of those, just tremendous to have consistency, because then you could speak more impromptu because the message is always the same. It's just a different audience, and how do you tailor it to that audience, and how do you connect with this person and that person? Which leads me to my question that I have for you in terms of connection. I love that you
Mm-hmm.
said you started connecting more with your audience. And I'd love if you could share a little bit more about that. And I think you kind of touched on it in terms of the giving and a couple other things that you mentioned there. But I'd really love from the public speaking side of you, if you could share what it felt like for you to connect with your audience and what were some of the things that you did to connect with them.
Yeah. You know, connection is so important, and it's about building relationships. And we can speak at people all day long, but if we are not engaging them, right, their eyes have glazed over. And I learned along the way that there are just people that are all about numbers, right? Once I started diving into personality types and how people are hearing and receiving things, I'm very much a particular personality, and I'm just like, give me the facts. I want the details. Let's move along, move along, move along. And really learning the emotional storytelling side was just hard for me. And so when I was first putting the message out, I'm like, here's all the statistics about what we're doing over here, and here's all the numbers. And all the people that are not numbers people, they don't care. They want the heart story. How are we impacting lives? And so I had to figure out, what does that blend look like? Recognizing that there are people that just want to hear the stories. They don't care about the numbers. And so I had to get outside of who I was as a person and deliver messages that can touch everybody that's in the room, because we don't know who's sitting in those seats. Some of them I may never see again, but I have to know that I'm connecting with them. So I put in this beautiful blend, if you will, of here's the story of who we're serving, and these are the ways you can get involved. And it's wrapped in a hug of a thank you for your support already, but this interesting invitation for you to get involved if you haven't already started giving to our ministry or volunteering, throwing in those statistics along the way, and just inspiring them to either give or to serve, or just say, right on, you keep doing it and I'll write the check, or whatever that looks like. But connecting them so they can see themselves somewhere in the ministry or the message that you're giving. And so I run everything through the lens of our mission statement, because that's what brought them there in the first place. But I got to connect with them in the right way. And it's that intentionality that makes that difference for sure.
You remind me of somebody who I've heard recently speak. He's the president of a local university here in New York. It's SUNY University of New Paltz, and it's the president is Dr. Darrell Wheeler. And what he speaks to is very similar to what you said, in that he said whenever he addresses his team, whenever he addresses the student body.
With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm on a mission to provide better nutrition for cats and dogs, because truthfully, all pet food is dead food, which is why we created Rough Greens and Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All in a tasty formula that your dog and cat will love. You can improve your pet's coat, digestion, energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code BESTFRIEND. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com, use promo code BESTFRIEND. Bring your pet's food back to life with Rough Greens. So good, your pet will ask for it by name.
Whenever he addresses the community, he always refers back to the mission of the organization. And what is the mission of the organization, and what are the values that I can lean into and lean on to be able to tailor this message for you or speak this message for you. And it's something that always helps him with that. I thought that was pretty neat. The other thing you mentioned, Yeah, and you mentioned ministry, and ministry, of course, is typically tied to religious beliefs, spirituality, God, and regardless of wherever anybody is right now in terms of their spiritual journey, whether they believe, don't believe, doesn't really matter for what my question is in terms of this. I'm interested in when you said before you're talking about taking your glasses off so you don't see anybody, and again, this is my public speaking coach hat coming on. Sure. One of the tips that I typically have for people who don't have the option of taking glasses off, like I tout myself as having eagle vision. Like I can see from miles away. It's kind of my thing. I love to challenge myself with like those eye charts and seeing, can I read that bottom line? Can I take another step back? So I am going to see every audience member. That's my goal. And so for people like me that are out there, we have the people in the audience that are our, as Simon Sinek would call it, our champions. And then we have the people, as you would call them, that are scowling. And the advice that we have for anybody going out and speaking in public is to focus on our champions. Whether we are able to persuade or get the person with the scowl on their face to turn around or not is almost doesn't matter. As long as we're focused on the people that are smiling, that are nodding along, that are cheering us on, focus on them. They're the people that you're there to speak to. They're the people you're connecting with. It's not to say to not do what you said that you do in terms of blending and bringing out, making it emotional and statistical. It's not to say not to do that. What we're saying, and I know that you're on the same page as me in terms of your agreement here, is when you do see the crowd, is that it's no longer about you, it's about them. And that's where I'm going with all of this in terms of the spirituality thing, is that so if we're looking at the idea of it's no longer about me, it's about them, and we're looking at our cheerleaders out there, our champions out there, and it's about them, how much of that, and in terms of your spirituality and of course it being a ministry, how much of that also helps you be able to move beyond your fear of knowing that it's no longer about you, it's about a greater good.
Oh yeah. And that is actually key number one for me, because it's no secret if you see me out in Facebook land or wherever I'm at, it is about my walk with the Lord, and I am serving my community because he asked me to. Believe me, I wouldn't have been on a stage, especially in the ministry that we work in, if it wasn't because I was asked to do this. And so I just trust him, and I get out of the way. And as I put it, I'm his vessel. And I go with what I think he wants to say, and I just say it. And I don't have to take my glasses off anymore. Sometimes now it's just out of habit. I just want to say that because when I first started, I was terrified, but it shifts. And when you get into that comfort zone, and when you begin to recognize that these people are your champions, and there are going to be those that are scowling, but since you open this door a little, or a lot really, that person that's grumpy or doesn't want to hear what I have to say, it's none of my business. It's just not my business. That's between him and God. If something I've said in that particular format that we're talking about when I'm in a church, right? That's not my problem. It's none of my business what he thinks of me. I just am here to do a thing, and I'm here to report this good news, tell you the impact that your giving is making, and I'm going to shout it from the rooftop. And we are a religious nonprofit, and I am going to, praise him all the way through it. Now, when I'm in workshops and, I do other, fundraising trainings and things like that are, I guess religious or secular, however you want to put those, I do work in both of those, but my faith doesn't change. And it is my motivation to just go help people thrive in their space, whether they're launching a business, whether they just need a friend to chat with, or if we're getting on stages. It's just about, empowering, encouraging, and supporting people in whatever they're doing.
And my coach likes to tell me, other people's opinions are none of your business. That's
the phrase I was looking for. It isn't any of my business.
None of my business. And you just
Not a
never know what
problem.
someone's dealing with either. I mean, so
Exactly.
how often have we made an assumption about someone because of, let's say, a scowl on their face, and we go, oh, they don't like me,
Yeah.
or they don't like the message I'm sharing. And come to find out, they're dealing with an emotional issue. They just came out
Exactly.
of got terrible news, and they're just not there. They're not present in that moment.
Yes,
And
they weren't even listening to
Right.
you. It had nothing to do with you. Like I'm over here thinking about where we're eating to dinner, and I don't want to have lunch with Aunt Susie, and they're scowling, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, what did I say? Right?
I'll be honest. So you and I we're in similar paths. I'm not very. I always say this only because I don't go to church and I don't pray to a God or anything. But so I say I'm not very religious. But I was raised Catholic, and I'm raising my daughters Catholic, and they're doing their sacraments and everything. But I'm more of a spiritual person. And so what I'm saying here is I'm more of a spiritual person. I'm more of a self-development type of person, and focusing on, how we can change our thoughts, change our mind, and go into every moment with a positive attitude, how we could really just decide that we're going to be happy or that we're going to be positive and all this other stuff. And this is all wonderful stuff, right? But yesterday I had an argument with my wife. And it was such a, and these are these kinds of arguments that they're so silly. But it's usually because there's something underlying, and it had to do with family and engagements, right? It's always that, right? It's going to this person's house, going to that person's house. Where are we going here? Where are we going there? When is this? That person wants me to come. This person wants me to come. And there's always this push and pull from family and obligations. And because, you just come out of the holidays and you come out of all this other stuff, and you've already had a lot of it, and you've just dealt with so much tension in that space, the one little thing just sets it off. And that's essentially what happened. It was something so it was actually a hypothetical that I raised. I said, I might have to, because they may need, it was such a hypothetical, and we got into it. And it was when we were making up from the argument, I was just and it's so silly because it was a hypothetical.
With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm on a mission to provide better nutrition for cats and dogs, because truthfully, all pet food is dead food, which is why we created Rough Greens and Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more, all in a tasty formula that your dog and cat will love. You can improve your pet's coat, digestion, energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code BESTFRIEND. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com, use promo code BESTFRIEND. Bring your pet's food back to life with Rough Greens. So good, your pet will ask for it by name.
Hypothetical, but that wasn't the point, and that's not the point that I'm bringing up here. The point that I'm bringing up is that we did have the argument, and we were really upset with each other. My feelings were hurt. Her feelings were hurt. And because we're parents, we're also under pressure because she's trying to have this argument with me and finish it. And she's got to get to the bus to pick up our daughter while I'm also trying to finish up some work. So it's we got this time crunch on us while we're trying to resolve this issue. And unfortunately, because the bus was coming, she literally had to run out in the middle of our argument. And again, we're both very self-aware, and we're both of our feelings are hurt, but we're angry with each other. And she left the house, and this is the part that I'm bringing up for everyone. I was so angry. And I have nothing but positive affirmations all around my office, and I write them on Post-its, and I have them, and I see them all, and I have all my self-development stuff around me, my tapes, all my stuff, my Tony Robbins, and I have my Growth Day app up and all this other stuff. And yet I'm looking at it all and I'm going, but I'm angry. And I'm going, this is what people must feel like when they have just devastating life experiences of a divorce or the loss of a family member or a diagnosis of some sort. And this is the feeling that they carry with them. I know that me and my wife are going to make up once we finish talking for another 15, 20 minutes, which is actually what happened, right? It's going to take us some time to get over the fight because we need to reconnect and all that other stuff. We even talked about that for tonight. We want to watch a movie together to make sure that we reconnect. But this is the the pain that some people carry with them.
Yeah.
And somebody like myself who's in that self-development space, who works on this stuff every single day, I'm having trouble getting out of this environment, getting out of my mental environment in just a small little meaningless argument with my wife. Going back to that person with the scowl on their face as an audience member, going back to that person that we might interact with and make assumptions on. I mean, we don't know what they just dealt with and that they can't change their state.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't that put it in perspective? It's like crazy.
It really does. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. A powerful insight because again, we've got, we just point everything to ourselves and we don't necessarily pause to consider others. And so, that is a great example, that you were experiencing that and then able to think, wow, okay, that could be the guy sitting in the pew being all grumpy too, being caught in that moment. How do we get out of that? Interesting.
And you think about gratitude. You mentioned it earlier in terms of gratitude. And I'll share this, and I want to get into more about your story too. But it's top of mind right now with what we're talking about in terms of gratitude. I recently had a colonoscopy. TMI. All right, but don't worry about it. But there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. I recently had a colonoscopy just because there were some digestion issues that I was having. So I'm 42. It's a little ahead of time. So anyway, I'm also experiencing some other life crises, I guess, in terms of my business and finances and everything, and trying to figure things out without oversharing there. But so here's the part about gratitude that I want to share with everybody, and that I know that you and I can talk some more on. Is it was actually this morning. I'm dealing with some things, and I journaled on it. I journaled. This is probably my longest journal entry I've ever done. I've probably sat there for about an hour journaling on some of the things that I'm experiencing and the pain and everything and what I'm working through and how I'm finding solutions for it and what I'm grateful for, and even writing a letter to myself in the future. And so anyway, I walk away from there and I go to get the mail, and in the mail is I could see it's from the healthcare clinic. And so anyway, I'm getting it, and as I'm opening it, I'm opening it, and I'm just like, oh man, I really need a win. Like, things are really tough right now. I really need a win right now. And I'm reading it, and it says, your colonoscopy came back, everything's benign. You don't need to be seen for 10 years. And I close the letter, and I just like brush it aside, and I'm like, I really need a win right now. And I'm like, hold on, Michael, did you just realize what you just read?
Right.
And how lucky you are. And so where I bring up gratitude is how often we take for granted what we have. So simple as that, right?
It is. Yeah. As simple as getting the good news. And we overlook those simple things like, oh, it's my test results.
Right. Yeah, they're benign. Okay, whatever. Chuck it over to the next.
Let's move on. So where's that big win?
Right. Like I should freaking frame, and now that I say it, I should freaking frame those test results, because there's no bigger win than our health.
Yeah, especially with all the concerns that you had when you went into it. It's a relief. It's like, okay, that's good to know. What can I do moving forward to keep getting those good marks, if you will? Interesting.
On the health, and I got it because I want to throw it back to you now. On the health here, you mentioned earlier, it was so funny. Before we jumped on the air, you said, "Oh, I noticed you were stalking me on Facebook and liking my posts." And I was like, and in my mind, I'm going, "Well, yeah, I got to get to know my guest a little bit. I read your bio. I go to your website. I check out your socials. I want to know who I'm talking to." And I noticed on your social that you're on this fitness journey, and I'd love for you to share a little bit about that fitness journey and what you're doing, because you're posting pictures of yourself and in very vulnerable states. Yeah, tell us about this.
Yeah. And I'll go live too. I don't usually paint the barn, if you will.
Yeah.
The makeup and all this stuff. So, it's been a journey. And I won't go too deep, but there was a time in my life that I ate my emotions. just to hide from, my then husband. It was a very toxic marriage for 11 years. I have two grown adult children, but to survive that awful environment, I just ate. I just ate. The bigger I got, that ex-husband would leave me alone kind of thing. And I just ate the emotions and raised my babies. And when that marriage finally came to an end, here's Carol, early 30s, 250 plus pounds, alone raising a 10 and 7-year old. What am I going to do? It was a stay-at-home mom, hadn't worked at all while I was a stay-at-home mom. And I just ate and ate and ate and ate and ate and got, I was saved from that bad marriage. And now I'm married, 20 years. And I just say it's talk about gratitude, God's gift. I have always believed that a woman's role is to be a good wife and be a good mom. Those are my two roles. Everything else was a bonus.
With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm on a mission to provide better nutrition for cats and dogs because truthfully, all pet food is dead food, which is why we created Rough Greens and Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All in a tasty formula that your dog and cat will love. You can improve your pet's coat, digestion, energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code BESTFRIEND. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com, use promo code BESTFRIEND. Bring your pet's food back to life with Rough Greens. So good, your pet will ask for it by name.
How I was raised and believed. Of course, that was really when I was young, and my mind has expanded a lot more than just that. So let me be clear on that, because as we grow, we just grow and learn. And so I ate, and I was just this terrible blob of a hot mess, raising babies. And now here I am. I don't have a job. I got these two kids, and what am I going to do? And so I ended up getting a part-time job, and then met my now husband through our positions in another nonprofit ministry. And and then I thought I really need to just kind of get my life back. And so I just thought, okay, well, I'm going to start losing weight. And so I didn't get on the scale. I had lost a few pounds before I weighed at 250. Okay. So that's scary. I was like a 3X. I'm like 5'1.5". I'm not a giant chick. So I was this stubby little thing. Right. And so then, I get married and the journey continues. So I've lost 100 pounds, and it's just a thing that I do. And in that process, I became a personal trainer and a Zumba instructor, did all the things, right? But I can't let that side of me down or go. So I've been coaching, others in their health journey for a long time. That's why when I started seeing you out there, I was like, oh man, like all my sweaty selfies are I just, finished a workout and I'm giving somebody some encouragement, because literally there was a time that I wanted to get started on a workout, and the win for the day was I was able to reach down and tie my shoe. Right? Because I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do those things. And I'm not some size 0. I still have a long way to go in my journey, and had some health complications along the way. So the scale goes up and down and up and down. But you know what? I show up every single day for a workout, and I'm constantly on that journey. So that's how that kind of came into the fold. I still coach people. I don't teach in the local gym anymore. And things like that. When I stepped into this role, I kind of had to let go of some of that, but I still show up for that workout and coach people.
That's so motivational, like what you just said there, in terms of, where you were and where you are today, and then posting and every day, because you're 100% right in terms of, inspiring others. Behind you in one of the selfies that you have, there's a fitness instructor on the big screen.
Oh, my favorite.
And he's got ripped arms and abs, and he's like my dream, right? He's like what I wish I could look like.
Don't we all?
Right? Don't we all? Exactly. But that's not always reality. Right.
Exactly.
And I think it's so important for people to see someone like you, a real person who's working a job, who's dealing with emotional and health and all the other things, and yet still goes and hits it and still goes to the gym and does what she needs to do to be healthy. And I think that is so inspirational. I mean, of course, his abs are very inspirational.
Right.
But I think the real. And not that he's not a real person. I mean, every one of those people are real people. It's just where their attention is, right? Like as Tony Robbins says, right?
Sure.
Where attention goes, energy flows. And
if I had 5 hours to work out every day, I'd have those cut ribs and all that.
and we do have that, but we have a bigger calling, and you do, and so we're going to talk some more about that now.
Sure.
So I just want to commend you on your fitness journey. I love those. I think those pictures were so cool. I saw them. I was just like, it was interesting because I always look into my guests and I'm like, okay, what kind of conversation are we going to have and where's this going to go?
Yeah.
And there's just something about your facial expressions that I was just like, I could just tell you're a very empathetic, caring, thoughtful person. And in those pictures, those selfies that you took, it really draws that out of like, you could just see that in you. And I'm like, okay, I know exactly where we're going with this woman.
Yeah, there's I don't have a poker face, I guess. There it is.
We're halfway into our interview, and I never even asked you where you're from, but I love to get into a little bit of a backstory of where you're from, especially since you live in Georgia. I don't know if that's where you were born and raised, but I would love if you could just share a little bit about your upbringing and some mentors in your life as you started getting into the non-for-profit world.
Well, I was born in Burlington, New Jersey. So I'm a Jersey girl. I may have lost a lot of it's funny. I've lost my Yankee twang. But when I'm here, most people say, oh, you're not from around here.
Of course.
And then when I go home up north, they're like, oh, you sound so Southern. Yes. It's like, whoa. And then my kids will say, when they knew they were in trouble, they're like, you better run, Mom's Yankees hanging out. What? So anyway, I was born in Burlington, New Jersey, was raised mostly in like Long Valley, New Jersey, kind of up north, just outside of New York. And so, and then when I went off to college in North Carolina, my parents did the thing. Like I went to college, they sold the house and moved. Right. So they moved down to Georgia. And then I've kind of been all over the map ever since. College in North Carolina. When I was in my first marriage, he was in the military. Pardon?
Which college?
Oh, I went to Pfeiffer. It's Pfeiffer College, but it's Pfeiffer University now. It was in Meisenheimer, North Carolina, just outside Salisbury.
There you go.
So when we sounded out, I go, is it Salisbury? Where's that? Then they're like, oh, you're one of them Yanks. It's Salisbury.
That's funny that Yankee's a term down there.
Yeah, not as much now, but when in the 80s, when I came, 87, when I graduated high school, gosh, I'm feeling old and dating myself. But that was how I started coming down south, was when my parents moved. And I had spent some time overseas in Norway because my ex-husband was in NATO. So I lived in Norway for 2 years. And then, bounced around a little and then landed in Martin, Georgia, where I've met my now husband. And we're due east of Atlanta, kind of like Bulldog Nation here in tiny Monroe, Georgia. And I just love it here. And so that's kind of how I landed here.
Cool little journey there. It's funny, you and I share that in common. So I live in upstate New York, or at least since I'm from Queens, New York, which is New York City, we would call where I live upstate New York. It's the Poughkeepsie area. Most people in the Albany and North and Syracuse areas would say that this is downstate. But being that I'm from Queens, anything north of the Bronx is upstate. And with what you're saying, I'm living here now. I'm in my 20th year, going into 21st. Up here, people, probably because of my public speaking background, people don't really notice that I have much of an accent. Gotcha. It is kind of what it is. But my New York City people, friends, family are just like, oh, you.
With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm on a mission to provide better nutrition for cats and dogs because truthfully, all pet food is dead food, which is why we created Rough Greens and Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All in a tasty formula that your dog and cat will love. You can improve your pet's coat, digestion, energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code BESTFRIEND. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com, use promo code BESTFRIEND. Bring your pet's food back to life with Rough Greens. So good, your pet will ask for it by name.
You've turned into an upstater, and then upstate people, like my people in this area, sometimes will be like, oh, that's that, you got that city coming out. I don't get that city vibe that much anymore because I'm so polished in terms of my public speaking. But when I'm down in the city, I either sound like I'm an upstater, or when I'm with my brother and my brother-in-law, I am. You would think I'm like out of one of those Italian movies, the way we talk.
It's funny. It's So I've been down south for 20 plus years now, and so it just. Probably more like 30 if I own that truth.
Yeah.
But it's, so then you're just somewhere in between. But I love
cool.
getting, I miss, real food. Like there's just no real food. They don't know how to do pizza. Oh, Lord, save me. They can't make a pizza or a hoagie. They can't find a proper hoagie anywhere.
It's the challenges of it. And so you've always, well, I don't know if you've always been, but at least in terms of like being part of the Salvation Army for 11 years and with what you're doing now for 7 years, you've been a part of nonprofits. What about the nonprofit space, really made your heart sing, made you want to move into that space? What about it inspired you to be a part of nonprofits?
I just kind of landed there. So, rolling backwards, when my ex-husband and I, when we parted ways, he went off to Colorado for a job, and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere else with you. That's it. So basically, it was kind of like abandoned. And a friend of my son was in the Cub Scouts, and it was associated with the Salvation Army, and they needed a caseworker. And so the captain at the time said, hey, you need a job and I need a caseworker. Want to work for us? And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I mean, I went to school to be a teacher, but never taught a day ever. And, because I jumped right into just being a mom, and I loved it. And so I said, well, if you'll train me, I'll do it. And then I grew with the Salvation Army, fell in love with the social services stuff that I was doing for them. And it just grew and progressed from there. So I fell into it. I even said to my husband just the other day, if somebody would have told me that I'd be running a successful nonprofit ministry, doing what we do, I would have laughed at them because I never saw myself doing this. I was either going to be as a school teacher and a mom, and that's all I ever thought. I never would have thought that all that would get here. So it just grew, and it was one new opportunity after the other. I'm like, sure, I'll try that. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out. I'll learn about it. And that was just how it happened. But I came kicking and screaming to this job. I didn't want it.
Who was the person that kind of mentored you or shepherded you into it?
It was a group of people. I was praying because I needed a new job. We're going to get very religious if we're going down this track.
Yeah, that's how this story. It's all good.
I just want to say that
it's all good.
So the church administrator role I had for a long time was just getting really hard to be there. And they were just making changes that just weren't me. And I thought, okay, I got to change. Something's got to change. Nobody would hire me. Everywhere I was going looking, no, you've been in nonprofit. How are you going to work in a for-profit? Look, I just want a job. I'll do good. But nobody wanted to hire me. And so I was praying with my prayer group people, and the church administrator came across an email where the nonprofit that I'm working for was reaching out to pastors saying, we're looking for an assistant executive director to train and into this new role so that the founder of the ministry can begin retiring. And she says, "Oh, this is your job." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know anything about that topic. I don't have an opinion, and I don't think I can do that." She goes, "I'm telling you, this job is for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think so." And so then I thought, well, I better just apply for it anyway, or I'm just going to be trapped. But I don't know anything about this ministry. So I applied, didn't hear anything for months. And then all of a sudden I get an email from the lady, the founder of this ministry saying, "We'd like to bring you in for an interview." Talk about so I show up for this interview, but I didn't even know anything about the ministry, didn't even know they existed. I'd lived in the same town with this ministry for 15 years, drove my daughter by this building to soccer practice and had no clue. And so I'm in the interview and they ask me, "So what do you know about our ministry?" And I said, "What I read on the internet before coming here." I don't even know how I have this job even to this day. I spent my whole interview trying to tell them all the reasons they shouldn't hire me. And here I sit. So, I don't know. So I didn't have a heart for it, but the Lord just kept saying, "Okay, this is what we're doing." So I lace up my shoes and say, "Let's go." And here I am. And I had to learn it all. I didn't know any of it. I mean, I knew about nonprofits. I've managed people before, but I've never run it as a whole and had to be the face of it and learn all the things, not just how to raise money for it and run the business, but actually the day-to-day operations of serving the community in it. So it's just been a whirlwind ride.
There's something about prayer, I think, that taps into our subconscious minds. And,
Yeah.
I know, for someone who, like yourself, was religious and prays to God, it's God's voice. It's a voice that we hear in our minds. I'm just interested in that process for you in terms of prayer and what you hear and how you're able to kind of maybe take what you hear and turn it into a reality, because I think that it applies in so many different ways.
Sure. I was the worst at prayer for a long time. And so I just want to put that on the table because
I don't know how you could be bad at prayer.
Right. Well, I'm just, it's not, it's a hard discipline, right?
Oh, okay. Like doing it regularly, you mean? I gotcha.
Yeah, and learning how to do it, because you're like, I'm just going to, I'm super plain here. So this is what you get. Because, I remember you want me to just talk to him. Like, it's just a weird, awkward thing. Like, you're just pouring out your heart and you're in a room by yourself. Like, what is that? Right. It's a little weird, getting comfortable in that and learning how to pray. It's just been hard.
With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm on a mission to provide better nutrition for cats and dogs because truthfully, all pet food is dead food, which is why we created Rough Greens and Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All in a tasty formula that your dog and cat will love. You can improve your pet's coat, digestion, energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code BESTFRIEND. You discover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com, use promo code BESTFRIEND. Bring your pet's food back to life with Rough Greens. So good, your pet will ask for it by name.
I guess you didn't go to Catholic school.
No, I'm not. I was raised Presbyterian. I grew up with Catholic friends, and that's like, ooh, that's a completely different ballgame.
I went to Catholic school. You'll learn how to pray there.
Right.
It's probably why I'm not religious anymore.
Yeah, well,
Okay, go ahead.
I'd be hard pressed in that as well. And so it's just, learning how to have that conversation, that honest conversation, and reading the word every day and allowing the scriptures to talk to me. It's just been something that's developed in me over the years. Because in my younger years, it was like I went to church because mom and dad made me go to church. I came back to the church, when I realized, my life is a mess. I didn't know what I was going to do raising these babies, and I found my way back in. And then my faith just continues to grow. And so my daily, like literally, I'm up at 4:45. I'm in there doing that workout, posting that picture that you were talking about earlier. And then I'm in here and I'm chatting with the Lord because I can't get through the day without him. That's where I'm at in this. And I'm pouring out my heart. Who do I need to be praying for? Who do I need to help? Lord, I've got this big decision. Show me what is your heart in this. How can you use me today? And then I'm reading the scriptures, and it just, I don't even know how to put it into words, but I always know in the moment what God needs me to do or say. And so, but it's a hard discipline.
What about what you hear in terms of a response, or what the response is like allows you to decipher what you need to do? So you mentioned you ask a question such as, Lord, what is it that you want me to do today? Or what is it that you need me to do today? And then from there, you kind of go about.
Yeah, like here's the best example that I have of that. It's like this piece. So I don't know how much creeping you did, or if you saw my.
That was about it. Just the 5 likes that you got. I saw enough, and I was like, we're good.
I wasn't sure which ones they were.
I can't do that much research, but I saw enough. Yeah.
So I did a live video a couple weeks ago. So we stumbled upon this piece of property, and our ministry just paid cash, and we bought a building. But let me tell you, that was a scary purchase. And so I'm like, okay, Lord, do we bring the ministry checkbook way down to back to being super needing to rely on, like I got 3 months of payroll. That's where I'm at. We went through this, but asking, and you get this sweet sense of peace is kind of how he talks to me. I don't hear like God saying, Carol, go buy the building. It's this peace that's like, okay, this seems pleasing. It seems to be in line with what I understand. And I say to him things like, if this isn't the building for us, then make it hard. Shut the door. We can't do this or we can't do that. And those are the sort of the ways I trust him to reveal to me. But it's this, I don't know, a sense that he's guiding me into. Yeah, these are hard to put words to.
Yeah, actually, I want to reflect some of the stuff that you just said and that you did for everybody who's listening. So what I just picked up on is so you're asking this question, and this is the reason why this is important, everyone, is that whether you're religious or not, or spiritual or not, or whatever it is, but your meditation and mindfulness is something that I practice and I highly recommend to everyone, however you choose to be mindful and meditate. And what you're speaking to, Carol, is that as we put the questions out into the universe, into the spiritual realm, into God's hands, as we put the question out, there are feelings that we receive after we put the question out. And sometimes the feelings can be received as nerves or anxiety, and that might be that might tell you something. I can't tell you what that's going to tell you. I know what I might feel in that moment. What you mentioned is that you feel when it's the right one for you, right decision for you, you feel a sense of calmness. And what I want everybody to picture right now is what I saw you do, which is you took your hands and you brought them below your chest and by your belly area, and you almost embraced yourself and rose it up through your chest. And I'm not astute in what any of that necessarily means, but what I can say is that it's much different than putting your arms out and putting them over your head. It's much different than putting your arms out in front of you. It's much different than holding them to your heart. It's to me, it just says that it's like a full body experience that you have. And that's what it speaks to for me. So that's what I picked up on. And so I think that part of the reason why I asked this, of course, is because there are so many leaders listening right now, and every one of you are a leader, so many leaders listening right now and have big decisions to make. And I think when you take that moment to reflect, to pray, to meditate, and you receive a sign of what you're talking about, this calmness, this stillness, this excitement, this joy. These are the different ways that you're being spoken to as to whether the decision is a good decision or not. The other thing that you mentioned is that you said, and if it's not a good decision, then slam a door shut, make it difficult, make a challenge. And so what that says to me is that there are always going to be signs. There are always going to be flags. I've had several experiences in my life where a couple red flags went up. I'm speaking with someone and a red flag goes up and they say something else and another red flag goes up. And then, a week goes by or 2 weeks go by and something happens where I decide to not move forward with them. But did it really happen that I didn't decide not to move forward with them? Or was it a choice because I had certain red flags go up? A lot of times it was maybe an unconscious choice, but it was a choice. And so these are the signs that we have to pay attention to, whether we're religious or not. There are signs that happen, and I think what you're talking about is being conscious of those signs, is paying attention. Okay, why didn't the banker meet with me that day to sign the loan for the building? Why did the real estate agent show up 20 minutes late and I ended up having to go to another appointment and we missed each other? These are all reasons that this might not just be the right deal. And again, whether you're religious or not, or believe in coincidence or not, it really is almost the universe speaking to you and letting you know, like, hey, you might want to just think about this some more. And the other thing that you did was towards the end there, you said, I don't know how to put it into words. And then you kind of brought your hands together and brought them closer to your heart. And I thought that was also...
It's because my cross is down here and I'm just reaching... for him to strengthen and give me his words, that kind of thing.
But I think that says so much too in terms of your body language, and that you bring it right into your heart. Is that I don't know how to say this, but it's in my heart, and I think that
with New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm on a mission to provide better nutrition for cats and dogs because truthfully, all pet food is dead food, which is why we created Rough Greens and Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more, all in a tasty formula that your dog and cat will love. You can improve your pet's coat, digestion, energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code BESTFRIEND. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com, use promo code BESTFRIEND. Bring your pet's food back to life with Rough Greens. So good, your pet will ask for it by name.
that is also so powerful for everyone to hear. You say about when you pray, but also just when you're reflecting, when you're meditating, when you're praying,
Sure.
when you're connecting, is, you got to feel it in your heart.
Absolutely. I mean, even when you think about, sometimes you get around and you're out and about and there's just that person that just doesn't vibe. They're creepy, you get away, right? We're quick to notice those things too. So we should notice the red flags that we might be picking up on as well. Not just, I don't want to get caught up in what I think I'm supposed to do just because I want that, but really just sitting with it, discerning, okay, is this the next best step, right? Is this the thing we're supposed to do? But being in tune, what are your mentors speaking into you? For me, it's God, and I have a trusted group that I go to bounce those ideas off of. Am I going to receive them? Am I going to accept them if they say something I don't want them to say, right? Those all those things. And you couple that with feeling, what are you sensing? What are you feeling? That mindfulness that you're speaking about, that quiet one-on-one time, those things are so important.
What I love about religion is that mindfulness, is that connection and reflection that religion makes us do. I remember many years ago, I remember thinking, I would hear about all these successful people who go through AA, and they're like, I was just down in the dumps, and recovering alcoholic or recovering drug addict, and went to AA, it saved my life, and the reason why you hear this story is because at the time I was listening to a lot of a show called Opie and Anthony, and they would have a lot of comics on, so I'm hearing a story because it's a successful comic. And we see it in the business world too. And I remember thinking back then, this is well over 10 years ago, how can somebody in that state become successful? Why are they successful? And what I learned now is that people who are spiritual in religion or in an AA type of program, or even in the in the self-development world or professional development world, is that you're always seeking to grow, seeking for more knowledge, but always reflecting and moving forward from that reflection. And what I mean by that is you're reflecting on your wins and also your failures, and you're not allowing either one to define your next step. And
there's no room for it.
That's right. And so it's very interesting with what you were just saying in terms of like what you have and the prayer and all the people. I love it. I love it. This is so cool. But I want to get into your ministry because there's a lot of stuff that you do there too that I want to learn from. My parents and other community members back in '93 started a non-for-profit called Forgotten Children of Haiti, and it's one that I support and I'm doing a 72-hour fast for, and it's tied to our heritage. I'm half Haitian. My mother's Haitian. Sure. And it's an organization that in its heyday in the 90s, when my parents and the community was fully behind it, it was raising thousands of dollars on an annual basis and on a regular, consistent basis. And since then, my parents are now 75, and many of the board members have since passed and are much older and are no longer a part of it. And it's really my siblings and myself who kind of carry the baton.
I see,
but not in a unified way, not in an organized way, I should say. We are unified, but maybe not organized.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of questions in what you do, because we're probably in the similar situation, a lot worse, I'd say, than when you picked up the baton at your organization. So I'd love to dig into some of the work that you did in order to bring it from where it was to where it is today. And I'll add to that question. You do consulting and coaching for people who have nonprofits and for business leaders. That's part of your business as well. It's not part of the ministry. It's part of your business.
Right.
And so I think if you could, of course, use your ministry experience, but put that consultant hat on in terms of my question of, when you have a non-for-profit that's kind of just, there and it's not making any forward momentum, what are some of the steps to take to get it to where your ministry is?
Yeah, I was starting from scratch in this, so I was stepping into the role. I was learning. And so nonprofits are fragile, and this is going to be key for you as your parents are phasing out of the ministry. Somebody's got to become the face of that ministry. That upsets the donors because they've only known, like Yvonne was the founder, and so she'd been running the ministry for 21 years. Everybody that's been giving has been giving because they had a connection with her. Who is this person over here you're bringing in? We don't know anything about her. And so it has to be done very carefully. And so they were wise in what they did. So when they brought me on, maybe the budget prior to me was like, I don't know, 75,000 to 100,000 for the year. It was a tiny nonprofit, and they took a big leap in bringing me in. So when I started, the budget was $150,000, and they weren't even, and it was literally almost deposit to deposit, figuring out how we were going to make it. And I was like the fourth employee that they had. So it was, we were bare bones with these big dreams. And here we are putting somebody new in the seat. How are we going to protect these donors? And how are we going to keep them confident that the ministry is not going anywhere? Nothing is going to change. The mission isn't going to change. just this person that's stepping in to carry that mission forward. And Yvonne still works with me. She's in my donor care, but it starts by getting to learn who the donors are and getting out in the community. And so people can begin to see me as the leader. So I spent a whole year and all I did was go to all the any event in town. If there was a chamber meeting, I was there. If there was a ribbon cutting at the new business, I was there. Going to every single church that supports us, getting to know the pastors. If there was a meeting that was open to the public, this chick was sitting in that room getting to know the community and getting involved. If there was a wing fling, I was at the wing fling. If it was a fall festival, I was there. The ride on the motorcycles with the American Legion, whatever it is, you show up, you get involved. Getting people the opportunity to know who you are, because prior to that, aren't you the lady that teaches at the Zumba at the gym? Yeah, there's a lot more to Carol than the Zumba lady, you know. So you've got to get out there and get connected and know them. And so that was.
With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm on a mission to provide better nutrition for cats and dogs because truthfully, all pet food is dead food, which is why we created Rough Greens and Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All in a tasty formula that your dog and cat will love. You can improve your pet's coat, digestion, energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code BESTFRIEND. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com, use promo code BESTFRIEND. Bring your pet's food back to life with Rough Greens. So good, your pet will ask for it by name.
And so it doesn't happen overnight. You got to build those connections. And so, as I stepped into that and grew that and started to get to know who those donors were, then it was like, okay, now I kind of know who these people are and how much they give. What do I got to do next? So I had to learn all this on my own, because I didn't know anything. And this is all while trying to learn the ministry and what it is we do at the same time. So there were a lot of moving pieces. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? Maybe 3 years ago. So I was getting better at it, refining and trying to take what I thought, yeah, you guys can do this better and try to, improve upon our speaking opportunities and figuring out how to do that better. And then I had the privilege to sit in a room at a training conference with Dr. Henry Cloud, who is the author of Boundaries and some other books. And he gave this simple plan of how to connect with donors. And I took that and I ran with it. And I thought, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And so out of that, I developed like a 5x5 donor connect plan. And I realized that I had all these people and they were giving money to the ministry, but I had no idea why they were giving. So how did I even know if I was, we were just filling up their inbox with all these things. The open rates were pretty good, but I didn't know if I was connecting with any of them because I had no idea why they were giving. And so I thought, okay, well, how am I going to fix that? So then it's smile and dial. Next thing I knew, I'm like, come on down, want to have a tour? I'd like to get to know you. And so then it meant I had to have phone conversations, send individual emails to people because I had no idea why they were giving. So I had to not just know and identify who was giving, but then I realized, okay, now I got to connect with these people because I need to put my Columbo hat on and figure out why they're giving, right? And so then I started having conversations and then I started listening more. And then these people just started becoming a part of my life. And the next thing I know, I'm writing them a little note. Congratulations on your grandbaby. Well done on your retirement. Or I'm so glad, congratulations on your first baby. Oh, you got 3 puppies, right? They're excited to know that. You notice that they got all these puppies or whatever it is, but really connecting with them because so often nonprofits treat their donors like an ATM, and they're not your personal ATM. And we can't treat them like that. Oh, we need money. Give, give, give. But what have you done in between to help them be seen and heard and connected to your ministry? Those things are so important. And when you do that over time, they just, you could go to them with anything and they're excited and they're fired up because it's not just them writing an empty check. They're a part of the process. They're a part of the journey. I'm a part of their life. They're a part of mine. And so, yeah, you can't do that with all of your donors. But if you're making an effort to do that with key donors and adding people into that communication plan, you just get these rich relationships that are so much more than just serving the people you're trying to serve, but you become a part of their life. They're encouraging you, you're encouraging them, and you're just building this incredible relationship. And then as they, if you've got a younger person, as they grow and they become, they're getting more income, those gifts get bigger and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it's just understanding how to nurture and connect with them in a variety of ways. And so when I work with people one-on-one, I mean, it took I had to drill down into my donor database and understand who these people were. And so when I help other ministries do this, I roll up my sleeves. I mean, we're deep diving and we're looking at your database. Do you know this person? Do you know why they give? Do they even know what your mission statement is? Right? These things all matter. And so that's really, and then how I did it, and it just builds up over time. And so now we're looking at a $600,000 budget. Last year, we broke 2 ministry records. And last week, Thursday, we wired money and paid cash for that building I told you about. And we're moving into a medical clinic debt-free. I mean, we're starting over building those funds back up, but we're a nonprofit. We're not supposed to keep that money. We're supposed to keep pushing it out. And so it's exciting, to see how those relationships will shift you from this poverty mindset of, oh goodness, am I going to have to cut programs? Oh goodness, are we going to make payroll? And you shift to an abundance mindset. That's key. Changing those soundtracks in your head. You got to get rid of the garbage. People are excited. They give for a reason. You just got to know why and give them what they want to know. And it's beyond just the ministry. You need to know your donors. So I don't know if that helps.
That was amazing.
That's how I do it.
I wrote down a lot of notes in terms of that. There was a lot of learning right there, and I'll reflect some of it back to you. And I also have some follow-up questions. And so for everybody listening, especially my parents, especially myself, really, in terms of what I want to do for Forgotten Children of Haiti. Couple things that I heard you say that I think are vital here is digging into the why are they giving. You said it a few times.
So important.
It's back to the whole public speaking conversation that we had. It's the same thing. It's why are they there? If we're on stage speaking and we don't know why why our audience is there, then we're speaking into thin air. And
that's exactly right.
I speak a lot on leadership, and if my audience could care less about leadership, and they want to learn about how to get fit, let's say, right, and they only want to learn about how to get big biceps, and 6-pack abs that we were joking about earlier. That's what they want to learn about. Nothing wrong with that, right? They're there for a bodybuilder conference, let's say, and I get on stage and I don't know why they're in the audience, and I just start speaking about leadership and how to connect with your team and create a winning culture. Well, I just missed the mark by like a million feet, miles, so right? So I hope that also helps everybody really see what we're talking about here is that, why are they giving? Why, yes, the reality is, yes, people will cut a check because it's just part of their habit. It's part of maybe their tax write-off or something about the mission spoke to them, and the mission has a really good way of following up and just asking for that donation. And so, they're solid for $25 a month. But imagine if you told them why they're giving that $25 a month, that might turn into $100, right?
Becomes a lot bigger zeros on the end of that check.
That's right, when you turn into the why. So I think that that's huge. And I think we could kind of and I wrote down mistake here, and I thought this was so key in that treating your donors like an ATM. You said that, and I was like, wow, I could see you saying that to 10,000 people with your glasses on. Right? Because isn't that the mistake we make? I mean, I'm definitely somebody who's done that, right? Where it's like this blanket, hey, give us money for this, for that. You know what? I remember for N95 masks during COVID, and it's just they get that thank you email response because they gave a PayPal donation, but they didn't get a true thank you from me. And they didn't really see that the money bought N95 masks or who it really helped in Haiti. And so to that point, it's treating them like an ATM. It's saying, just give me money, just give me money, just give me money. And I knew that there was some burnout on my end when I was doing that because I was just like, I'm tired of asking for money. And I think back to your point, that's what's going to happen because they're also tired of giving you money. When you go back to the why, it's no longer an ATM because you know why they're giving money and you're giving them a reason to give them money. And I think what the big part to all of that is what you said is that personal connection, is that you started drilling down and creating a personal connection with, as you said, not every single one of your donors. It's almost impossible when you get to a certain size. But as much as you can to write a handwritten letter, to send a thoughtful email, to make a thoughtful post, to be in contact on a personal level with your donors and let them know here's the impact that you've created. You know, it doesn't always have to be, congratulations on your first baby or whatever it is. It could simply be you all donated X amount and here's where that money went. And it's that communication. So I thought that was so huge. And I want to just kind of really highlight this for everyone listening and what you said. Know why and what they want to know. And I thought that was so huge. And so my follow-up question to all of that, which you gave us so much, is you have your 5x5 card. Is all of that on the 5x5 card, or is there something else in all of that you want to add to it?
Well, my 5x5 tracker, I'm just making sure, like I'm looking at, because it does lead up to, okay, so you're connecting with them, but that way when you're inviting them, I use this especially for my board of directors, it invite them to our major fundraising event. And so that 5x5, or these are the critical ways we're connecting over 5 months so that when we invite them to Gala, our major fundraising event every year, they're not automatically thinking, oh, a gala, that means it's going to cost me money. No, they are so fired up because they know what's going on. They're excited about the vision. They're excited about the stories and celebration that they're going to hear. And then they're going to want to bring all their friends. And then you have this huge event that's successful. But you can't just all of a sudden put a 5-week email campaign in and hope that they're all going to come all fired up and ready to write a check. It doesn't work that way. You have to build those relationships. And I want to put a pause here. If you are not a nonprofit and listening to this, just flip the coin. You need to know why your customer is shopping from your company. You're not going to be able to call every single customer that walks through your business door. But again, getting in tune with why your people are shopping with you, you could do the same thing in the same way. It doesn't just have to be for a nonprofit. If you've got a coaching business or got a brick and mortar, get to know Susie that's coming in and buying a cup of coffee every week with her bagel. Right? Just get to know her a little. But so these things work beyond just, a nonprofit fundraising. There are lots of ways to apply communication and connecting. Even if you just apply it to a family member like Aunt Susie that drives you crazy and you got to fix that relationship, or whatever. You just apply these things and make them work. Life is so much better when we do.
Yeah, and you said, and it builds that excitement. I like that too. So so in your 5x5, you're talking 5 months prior. You're getting to know them. You're connecting with them. You're finding out why are they being a part of it. You're giving them what they want. So if they're saying, "Hey, I'm a part of this because I want to help," part of, and we're going to get into what you do in your organization, in your ministry, but I want to help these babies see Christmas and all these different things that you do. Okay, now you know that that's what you're going to give them more of. Or maybe they're saying, "Hey, you know what? I really enjoy sending clothes your way." Okay, great. That's what I'm going to speak to you more on, is the clothes or the donation side of things. And so I love this build up. And then what you said, excitement. And then the gala is excitement. And you're saying that and it's bringing back memories for me with when I'm saying about Forgotten Children of Haiti being at its peak. My parents and again, other family members who were involved and on the board, but my parents are the ones that I knew because I lived in their house, so I knew what was going on behind the scenes. Forgotten Children of Haiti started, and it was the reason why it started. And I'll be brief because I want to get into your ministry. The reason why it started was my mother's Haitian, and my father's in the medical field, and he had done a trip to Haiti and to visit some orphanages that we had already been donating to on a non-formal level. We had been donating. We had a connection with a priest named Father Rick Frechette, who is vital to this whole conversation. And so we had a connection with him, and so we were donating to this orphanage. And so my father went there with my grandmother and another friend, another PA, physician's assistant, and they recorded and they saw. And I remember seeing the recordings of these babies, and at the time it's when the AIDS crisis was at its peak in Haiti. Yeah. And they recorded these babies and all this other stuff. And I remember seeing this, and they came home, and my father had said to my mother, "We got to do something." And that's when they formalized Forgotten Children of Haiti, and that's where the name came from. And from there, as a community, and back to exactly what you're saying, I think that this is really putting what you're saying into reality, is that from there, at the same time, my mother had organized a French mass in our parish every month. Okay. So we were already, to your point, building this community on a monthly basis. And the French Mass would take place once a month, and it was always followed by an hour get-together, coffee and bagels and donuts and cookies and different Haitian pâtés and different Haitian foods and music sometimes and all these different things. And then slowly we'd start having like the little masquerade ball, and slowly we would have these dinners, and the whole community would come together. And then when FCH was formalized, those things became more of an FCH thing, of like donations for FCH after the Mass and the dinner for FCH after the Mass. And then soon we would have what would be something like our big gala, where we would have an art show. And the art show, the whole community would come together, and we'd build these beautiful big structures to house Haitian art. And we had famous Haitian artists come through and sell their paintings, making a donation to Forgotten Children of Haiti. And so with what you're saying, I witnessed and didn't realize what I was witnessing. It's everything you said, is that from the beginning, there was a cause, there was a reason why we got involved, which were the babies and the orphanage and the hospital and soon to be. And there was a reason, there was a why. Everybody was bought into that why. There was a community around it that was always being fed information and given back to, in terms of the Mass and the donuts and the coffee and the conversations. And we had all these little dinners and festivities that led into our big fundraising gala, which was our art show, where, paintings sold for like 50 grand at these art shows. Right. They weren't cheap, and people were showing up and buying them. How was that possible? It was what you said. They were excited. So I love, you said all of that, and it just brought that up, and I just was just like, this is so tangible. And I want to get to your ministry.
Thank you for sharing that story. That is just beautiful. And see that just in watching you, because I don't guess they're going to see, but you're just like, you're just pouring it out with such passion and excitement. That really touched you, and it made an impression, and it's just oozing out of you. So that's really cool. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to derail you, but you're very passionate
Oh
about
no,
this.
you
It's huge.
you did not you did not derail me whatsoever.
Okay.
You are tapping right into what you know, which is I could feel it. It's true. It's
Yeah.
I can see it because I lived it, and I have some wonderful memories of the art shows
Yeah.
and everything, and you're helping me see what I'm missing right now for what we need to do.
Uh-huh.
So no, you never
You got
derail
your
me.
marching orders.
That's right. You can't derail me. We're here together. I told you that. And I love this. And yeah, it really was a wonderful experience. And I was just a young boy, and it really did have an impression on me. So it was really cool. I would love to now get into your ministry and the work that you do, because we talked so much about your background and your passion and how you help other people, and you just helped me, and my goodness, it was like a little coaching session. Thank you for my free 30-minute session that I get with you.
It's an honor.
But you also, this ministry that you have, it, as I kind of just touched on, something like, I think 212 babies got to see their first Christmas because of the work that you do. So I'd love if you could share some about this ministry and the word that you speak.
Okay. Yeah. So, gosh, it's such a joy. And I get a little emotional. I'm going to try to keep it in check.
That's all right. I got tissues, and so do you. So we're good to go.
All right.
Listeners,
we're
get
good.
your box ready, everyone.
Yeah. So, so the founder of this ministry, Yvonne, had 2 abortions over her lifetime. And when she came to the Lord, her heart was broken, and she always just says the Lord whispered to her heart that she wanted to help other women not feel the pain that she had carried all those years out of that guilt. And so she started a Center of Hope way back in, I think, 79, 80. Anyway, we're 28 years old. You'll have to do the math. I don't do math. And so out of that, she wanted to put a resource center together to help other women, and help them find healing after. And that resulted in to this beautiful ministry where we're providing no charge pregnancy tests, no charge ultrasounds. We do birthing classes. We do options counseling. So if she wants to carry her baby but place the child in adoption, we help facilitate that. We have fatherhood programs, and we just mentor these moms, and we help them, make a life plan for their child. We do not perform abortions. We do not refer for them, but if she chooses that and wants to come back and just have somebody that has had an abortion walk her through that healing process, we're there. And everything we do is free of charge. And it's just an honor to be able to, help people through the process. Our youngest girl right now is 12 years old. That's a 6th grade child, a child having a child. And, so there's just a lot of things in that. And being able to just come up alongside families and equip them with what they need and help them make a life plan for that child, whether they're placing in a loving home for adoption or we're helping them parent. It's just this beautiful experience. And we're helping men. We have a fatherhood mentorship program where other men will come in and mentor these men and help them learn to be a dad. And 2 years ago, we launched an abortion recovery program for men, because I'd be out speaking in the churches or the community. And then I was finding these men coming up and they're just sobbing and just saying, it never occurred to me that, I drove my sister to have an abortion and I feel guilty about that. Or I pressured my girlfriend. Or a couple weeks ago, I had a guy come up and say he went to a college reunion and found out his college girlfriend, sweetheart, aborted their child and didn't tell him. And now he's like, I was a dad and didn't know it, and I don't know how to process that. That's huge. Families are hurting, and we just decided to fill that gap. So all of our ministry programs are free of charge, because of our donors, and we meet them where they are, and we're just a safe place to talk if you want to talk, and we're providing those medical services, up to an extent for at no charge. I'm going to have an OB on hand one day, and I'm going to walk them all the way through that pregnancy outside our educational components, because they're earning diapers and wipes and their pack and play. They get a brand new car seat. All of those things are free. Most moms stay with us until they're about the baby's 18 months. And because they just feel loved and accepted, because sometimes we're the only family that young mom may have. And so, not all of them are, young, because we have women in their 30s, 40s. We've had some like, oh, we thought we were done. Surprise. Um, we're going to start all over again, honey. And so some are crisis pregnancies, and some are just families that need a little extra help to get through their pregnancy. And we get to open our door for that. And so that's like a really brief overview of what we do. It's not complete. We have a mobile unit too, as well as 2 brick and mortar locations, and we are completely debt free. By the way, that's important.
That is very important, and that speaks to the business side of things and your leadership and how you do your leadership. And we'll get there in a second. I just want to stay where we are here. Sure. The mobile unit is a newer piece to your to what you do. Just because this really hit me, and I'm sure it hit so many out there. The 12-year-old. How do you guys deal with that? And you don't have to get into too many specifics about it, but obviously not obviously, but at least I'm assuming there's a lot at play here that just isn't right. And so my question really lies in the sense of like, how do you deal with that? Yeah, it's just like that's all I got for you is like, how do you deal with that? How do you help that?
This one was a little unique. This is not our first 12-year-old. We had one that was a couple years ago, a victim of, an assault. Mm-hmm. And so that's, we're mandatory reporters, and we follow the letter of the law in those things. This particular group, this little couple was a 12 and 13-year-old.
Oh my goodness.
It was and their families get together all the time, and they were just unattended for a short time. And so the families are coming up alongside them. So this was a very interesting situation, but we are not well equipped in, how do you teach a child to parent a child? We have a lot of great resources. And it's, when you really think about it, it's a 6th grader or 6th grade. That's, frightening. And
it's so, I feel
heartbreaking.
Yeah. Like it's almost like unfair to them too, like to
right.
not have their childhood.
Right. And so, and we don't always get to know the other side of the story.
Sure.
Sometimes we're just confirming the pregnancy and we're doing that ultrasound, and sometimes they just move on and we don't know what they have or haven't done. And with this particular situation, their parents are coming up alongside them, and the parents are going to raise the baby, and then the kids will go back to being kids. That's their family plan. But it looks different for so many people. All we do is we're a safe place for them to get the resources that they need. And this family, they're just handling it all privately. So we're not really going to be a part of that journey. And and we've been praying harder. How can we better serve children? How do we protect our children in this? And I don't know what that looks like. I don't even know how to begin to protect our children. This was just 2 kids on their own.
What's some of the support that you provide these younger couples?
Well, with younger couples, like I said, we have trained advocates that meet with them weekly. And so like if let's just say she's a 15-year-old girl pregnant, she has no idea what's going to even be going on in her body. And so we're starting with that, and we're walking, okay, this is what your body's doing. These are the things that are going to happen. This is what the emotions, you're going to feel these things, right? We're walking with her through that process. And so each step of the way, it's built on their program, like they're meeting their needs. So if this is her 3rd pregnancy, we're looking at a whole different thing. If she's married and established, we're helping them in a different way. So each situation is so unique that we just have the tools to match it up for her. She's living on somebody's sofa. We're going to help her get a job. We're going to help her build out, the resume she needs or get the skills that she needs and connect her in ways where she can get off of the friend's sofa and build a life for her and her child. And so it's just so unique though. And so but in general, we're there we're just life affirming resources.
Yeah.
If I can't buy it or do it, I know how to get her the help she needs or him the help, because we do come up alongside that dad too. Yeah, he's a vital part of that process.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, as a father myself, I see that, it's, my wife does, I used to like to think that it was 50-50, but it certainly isn't. And it just isn't. Like I'll hear the girls, like this is my favorite. I'll literally be sitting in front of them. I will literally be like, I'm not even like, when I know I overuse the word literal. I know that I overuse the word literal, but in this situation, I am saying like, Denise and Tenley can see my eyeballs and I can see their eyeballs. They will be looking at me and they will say, "Mommy, can you please, or can I have, or can we go?" And I'm like, I'm right here, people. But they know. they know who makes the decisions. But also they also know who's going to get it for them. Like, "Can I get a cup of water?" And I'm like, right in front. I'm like, I could get you the cup of water. They're like, "Yeah, but we know that we're going to have to ask 5 times before you get up, Michael."
Nice.
I got to teach them to get their own, right? Be the dependents. Come on.
That's right.
That's what dads are there for. But yeah, no, I think that's obviously a vital part, is mentoring the dads, because I was driving with my daughter the other day. So this is what happened. I coach basketball. And I coach my daughter's basketball teams. And my older daughter, her name's Denise, she's 9. And then my younger daughter is Tenley, she's 6. And on Tuesday nights, I take Tenley to the practice, because I want her to get engaged in the practice for next year in basketball. And this particular Tuesday, it was our last practice, and so I created a parents-kids game. And so my wife was coming, and so was Tenley. And I thought Tenley was going to go with my wife. And so I'm headed out the door, and Tenley comes running. She goes, "Oh, I'm going with you, Dad." And I was like, "What? Really? Like, why aren't you going with Mom?" Like I said, like eyeball to eyeball, and they'll ask for her. And I'm like, "Why aren't you going with Mom?" And she goes, "I want to go with you. I want to go with you." So anyway, so we get in the car, and we're driving. And I go, "Why'd you want to go with me?" And she goes, "Because I like you." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Tenley's funny." She literally said that. She goes, "Because I like you." And I go, "Why do you like me?" She goes, "Because you're my dad." Like, duh. Like,
Duh, Dad.
But what I'm saying is, this is the mind of a 6-year-old. And that's as simple as it is for them. But really what she's saying is, because you're there for me, because you do all these other things with me, because of all this stuff. And so I think it's so important that these dads who are part of these families that are maybe disjointed, or for the first time, or really young, or don't have the support, or haven't had the role models in their lives, I see the importance of that.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
I'm learning how to be a part of that child's life, because even if they're going to ask for Mom all the time, even if they're going to rely 90% on Mom, that 10% is huge in that kid's life. And it's more than 10%, but
Right, but absolutely. Yeah.
The other part I wanted to ask you about your ministry is, we talked about you getting on stages. We talked about you going to 30 churches, 50 churches, something you said like that. And you're going out and you have this consistent message. I am very interested in this message that you share. And the reason why I asked this question is business and non-for-profit are different in a way because,
Yes.
In a business, there's a product that someone's buying and they're going to use it. So if I'm pitching a product and I know why people are there to buy it, of course, right? We talked about that earlier. I know they're buying it because they're going to use it in their life. And I just need to share that with them. When we're talking non-for-profit and we're talking donations and fundraising, this isn't something they're going to use in their life. This is something that is unique and touching to them. And
Yes.
also, you're not the only non-for-profit that goes into their church.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there are other things that are unique and touching to them and that they want to donate to as well. So what is it about your message and your messaging that reaches people to the point where they want to donate and they want to give more? And, of course, this is with the underlying of knowing why they're there and giving them what and all those other things. But really what I'm focused on in this question is your messaging.
Yeah. So I've learned to tell her story. I don't go in and just say, hey, and we call it a baby bottle boomerang is what we call it. We have these little bottles and I get to go in and they'll take a bottle home and they fill it up with change or dollars and they bring it back. And so we call it our baby bottle boomerang campaign. Some have heartbeat campaigns, whatever they want to call it. But I give them an open heart story. I'm just telling them the story. And I mean, I could just tell you one if that's what if that helps. But so I'll just do it.
Yeah,
so
go
here
get
we,
it. Get it.
are.
Here we are. Yes.
So got the
I love
mic.
it.
I'm on stage. I don't have my glasses on, but let's pretend that they're actually on and I'm looking into your eyes. So this mom comes in. And oh man, she's pretty sure she's pregnant. They've got 3 kids at home. Dad's already working 2 jobs. And she just knows she's pregnant again. So we meet with her, we talk with her, and she is adamant she's aborting that child. They cannot have another mouth to feed. She refuses to tell her husband that he's got one more mouth that he's got to feed. So she's just overwhelmed and she just doesn't want to bring this into their already difficult family life. And of course, that pregnancy test confirmed her worst nightmare. And we prayed with her. She sobbed. She said, God's going to forgive me if I have this abortion. That's fine, but I can't do this. She got in there and had that ultrasound and, saw that baby, that heartbeat, and she's just sobbing. And she's like, I just can't do this to my husband. I just can't. We've already got kids and I just can't do this. And so we tried to follow up with her. She was going to have that abortion and we always invite them back in to talk. Let us walk you through that healing process. We heard nothing. And so sometimes we just don't know what's going to happen. But we still fight to teach her the truth, help her see that she's got a safe place to come to without judgment. We're just here for whoever needs us, and we're going to help them and we're going to walk with them. And so I just wanted to thank you for your support. Your mission support is really impacting lives, whether we see it on the front end or we don't. And I just want to give you 3 ways today that you can get involved, how you can be available for women like her that come through our doors, no matter the result. And then that's when I open up the opportunity for them to serve in our centers. Come volunteer, spend some time talking with a mom or dad, help them navigate how to parent. Or if you're not comfortable and you don't want to meet with them, there are plenty of other ways you could write a thank you note. You can sort donations. We have a hope closet that you can organize and make the baby boutique absolutely beautiful for mom to shop in. But if you feel led to serve in this ministry, we can plug you in. We need prayer warriors. Would you just stop and pray that the girl that's home alone and afraid to pick up the phone, would you just pray that she knows and makes that appointment and comes in and lets us help her and love on her? Would you pray for the person that's going to serve her? And if you feel led to give financially, we're going to ask you to do that. We're going to provide a way to do that. And today you're going to take home this bottle. Pray about it. Share it with your family. Think about that girl that's going to be impacted. How many diapers and wipes that can buy for a mom that can't afford it. But give as you feel led to give. And then we provide those options. And then I say, oh, you didn't think I was going to leave you hanging about that mom, did you? Well, let me tell you, a couple of weeks ago, we were at a fall festival. And this mom walks up to us and says, hey, do you remember me? And of course we did, but we never approached them in the community. We want to honor that because some women come and see us and they don't want anyone to know they've been. But she comes up and she said, I just wanted to thank you for being there when I was terrified. And I want to introduce you to someone. And out from behind her came that stroller and that sweet little baby who was almost 2 at this point. And so we had been praying for her, not knowing what decision that family made. But because we listened, because we didn't judge her for her decision to think I wasn't going to tell my husband that we have one more mouth to feed. No, we just received her where she was and we loved her where she was and we accepted that decision. Whether it's my personal preference or not is not the thing there, but we met her where she was. And then wasn't a year later, a little over a year, we found out that she chose life. And then right behind that baby was dad with one of the other kids bouncing on his shoulder. And we got to meet the dad who thanked us for saving his family. And so that's the impact your gift is making. And I just want to thank you for that.
Mm. You left me in tears.
And I pick up my glasses. And I walk off the stage. And so that's how you get people to connect with your ministry. You tell them a story that they can find themselves in, and they connect. God does the work, or however that works for them, but that's how they get connected. They need to see and hear the impact. Not all of them have good endings. Mm. Someday I'll tell you the twin story, or you could go look that one up too. But it's just incredible when you connect the story to the mission to the ask. It all comes together. And it's not just asking them to be that ATM. Can you just be a prayer warrior for us? Or if you know someone, because, you get a lot of older people, older men and ladies, and the ladies like, well, I ain't having no more babies. I'm 90, how am I going to help? Oh, you can pray. Or what if you're having a conversation with your niece or another family member? Now there's a resource that she can go to for free services, right? That's how you help. And so that's how I connect people to our ministry. And that's how I share and communicate that message.
And you do that effectively.
Thank you. And I was stumbling a lot.
No way. You had me in tears, as you can see. Part of while you were sharing it, I actually didn't know that you were giving your actual talk that you do, because it did feel very one-to-one. It wasn't until you kind of let me know, and then that's when I asked for the donation or whatever it was that you said, and I was like, oh wait, okay, she's actually in it right now.
I'm in.
I'll tell you, when you talk about seeing that mother again in the stroller, and I was like, whoop, that was it. Like I was keeping it together, and then you hit me with that one there, and then boom, it really got to me in my heart, and so I can see how that can really translate to others and really move them to do something. I'm also curious in terms of like mentorship and mentor programs, because you are in Georgia and, outside of being able to ship you things, do you offer mentorship and things of that nature via Zoom? Is that something, or is it all in person?
For the clinic services that we provide, or me helping other directors? I want to make sure.
Oh, well, I guess we could answer both. So where I'm asking is because you got me in my heart. You shot the arrow and it hit. And, I'm thinking about the dads and what I had said earlier. And I'm just, as you were saying it, I was all right, I don't know how I could help her, but maybe I can jump on a Zoom and be like a mentor to some of these dads. But I can't be there because it's in Georgia. So is that something that you guys offer, or it's in person?
We do have some Zoom opportunities, but we have super strict criterias to work with that mom and dad. And there is a very deliberate process in that. And so, I'm not saying no, but
not just for me, but for anybody listening, of course, too, right?
That's so true. But we do, because our patients and moms and dads are coming in person. And so a lot of it is in-person mentoring in that way. But, during COVID, we had to shift. And so we did do some Zoom related, but we have to be really careful with HIPAA and all the things.
No worries. And well, you got some prayer warriors here for you, and thinking about those people that you serve, because that story was very touching. And I had heard a quote or saw a quote, I forget how it came about, where it said, when someone says they're praying for you, that they are speaking to God about you, and think about how powerful that is. And again, regardless of religious beliefs or spirituality beliefs, just like when someone's praying for you or saying, you're in, like I usually say to someone, you're in my thoughts today. That's saying that, like, I'm pushing everything out of my mind and I'm thinking of you. I'm thinking of your family. I'm thinking of you. And it's a direct path to my consciousness, to my spirituality, to my universe, to your God, to my God, to whatever it is. And so you and your people are all in my thoughts today. So you got a prayer warrior right here. In terms of what you just mentioned of what you offer in terms of your counseling and your coaching, is that something that you offer on Zoom?
I do. I meet with people regularly. Sometimes executive directors are too busy with them, but most of the time we might just be on a phone call, and I'm helping them cultivate those relationships. I'm helping them build out their annual plans of how they're communicating with their donors. I do all of that, just depending on at what level they want to work at that. I did want to circle back to they can volunteer. We do have things like Amazon lists where they can send diapers and wipes and things like that. And, so those are other ways that people help. A lot of places have baby showers for us and then deliver, the baby items to us or ship them via Amazon, that kind of thing. And so virtual baby showers can be done.
So we'll definitely have to have those links in the show notes for everybody listening here, that we'll have those, we will get those links into the show notes for you so that you can find that Amazon list and be able to send something. I think, just amazing. Your messaging is so spot on from now. I'll put the effective communicator, public speaking coach hat on. And
thank you.
You really do. I mean, you like I said, from an evaluator standpoint, which is sometimes what I do in Toastmasters, you connected with me. I really felt like you were telling me the story. And only because of this formatting that we're in, you kind of shifted, you put a different hat on to let me know what you were going to do next. But I can see that if you're standing in front of me, you're delivering that. I could feel the emotion behind it. There's because there's such a connection between you and that mom, whether you met her or not, or it was a story that was shared with you. There's a believability behind it all of like, okay, I know that what's happening, what she's telling me is true. And you're painting the picture so beautifully in a way where I can visualize, I can see the ultrasound happening. I can see you at the fair out in the public and her coming up with the stroller. So you did such a great job of effectively painting that picture and then sprinkling in there how people can help. And the other thing I liked about the way that you sprinkled in there how people can help is that you made it very clear it doesn't have to be monetary. And I think that's another thing that that many businesses and non-for-profits fall short on is there's this expectation of purchase or donation in that I'm here for you to buy from me. I'm here for you to give me donations. And when we put that expectation on our audience, it's almost unfair to them because they're like, well, what the heck am I here for? I thought I was here for an educational seminar. I thought I was here to learn about your ministry. And so when you remove the expectation and say, hey, I really just want you to learn and, get the free consultation with me so that you can learn more. And if you want to move forward with me, then of course I have a fee because we can't work for free.
Well,
And it's the same with the donation.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
If you want to, I love the prayer warriors, and I think you did such a great spot on job in your message.
It's taken years to perfect it. Lots of falling down, and you just learn from it. And literally that 3-minute speech, well, it was a slightly different story, but I raised $108,000 on just that 3-minute talk in multiple churches. And so it's just, you got to connect. It all starts with sparking that connection and being clear about it. It's the intention, and the intentionality behind it. And I get all fired up, and and I've come a long way, because when I agreed to take this job, like, one of the things is I've never had an abortion and I don't have that experience. And I'm like, how could I lead a ministry? How can I lead a team when it's not a part of my story? How am I supposed to do that? But I learned that I had so much brokenness in my own self, and that I can relate to some of the women that walk through our doors because I had an abusive marriage in the past. And now I'm in the place my husband, whose name is Michael, by the way, is just this amazing man who loves me well and is my biggest champion. And it's just this beautiful journey. And he's every Sunday, wherever I'm speaking, he's right there, and he's my champion. And this is our thing together. And the Lord worked it all out, but I had no idea what I was doing. But I'm like, all right, I'm gonna buckle up and learn. And here we go. And so it's stepping into the fear. It's allowing yourself to turn it into excitement and just running with it. Because what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You've encouraged someone today because your story matters. You've made a difference. And so that's kind of how I put it all together. But it's just years of learning, trial and error, and narrowing it down and figuring out what works. And I feel like I'm a high five myself, because I brought you down to tears. So now I want to know when the gift's coming. Right?
Oh, it's there. No, 100%. No, like I said, that's
you can do it too. You can do that too. Tell the orphan story. You can take the same thing and run with it and build it back into what your mom was doing with the meals and all those things, and it's the telling of the stories, right? That's how people connect. People want to be involved in a story. They don't want to be talked at.
Right.
And too often we just talk at people, draw them in.
Yes, and I agree with you wholeheartedly on all of that. I just noticed the time on where we're at, and so, but I do want to address your leadership skills, because what you just shared, pretty much everything you just shared there is really how you lead. And you said that you lean into your team's gifts and their talents, and knowing that they have the skills, and pick up where you lack, is what you wrote down. And I think that's such a great leadership quality to have, to know and trust your team and what they do. And then you do something else that I think is brilliant, which is your DISC assessments. And seeing the different personalities, because that matters too. Is if you could understand someone's personalities is huge as well, and how that impacts an organization.
Yeah, because if you don't understand the type of person you're talking to, how do you expect to connect? Again, I'm a sharp D. I'm like a high D, and give me the list and get to the point. And if I'm up there getting to the point, how is that person that is social and really wants the story ever going to connect with me if I'm going up there with a list? And that was a hard thing to learn. And I do the assessments with my staff, and we come together and we learn about how each other's personalities are. And then I just stay out of their way. I just like, oh, they run the place, I just raise the money. And that's exactly what it is. And so we've got the two locations in a mobile unit, and they run it. I pop in, I high five them, I love them, I equip them, I empower them. We gather frequently, but I don't pretend to know it all by any stretch of the imagination. And I need to let them thrive because we all bring something different to the table. But when everybody is working in their giftedness and in their strengths, it's this well-oiled machine, and you are unstoppable because you're just all together moving the mission and the vision forward together. And so I'm speaking to the donors, but they're taking what I call myself a treasure transplanter, because a lot of Christians are like, they want to store up their treasures in heaven for their big crown when they get there. Well, I'm going to help you transport that into my ministry, and you're getting your little crown in heaven, because people are looking where to give. They want to give. People want to give. People are generous by nature. So help them connect, but empower your team to do the thing that they've been called to do. And I stay out of their way, and I lift them up along the way. And so that's how I lead. Now I'll put my foot down, you got to pay attention. And I have to put my foot down every once in a while and redirect them to stay in their lane. But it's very infrequently, because we come together and we get each other, and it just flows. Got the right people in the bus. Isn't that Jim Collins? Good to great. You got to have the right people in the right seats on the bus. Something like that.
That's a good throwback right there. Yeah, and you mentioned a couple of your mentors, and we're going to get into your mantra here, but just to put them out there, because I think it's so important, because you said you're self-taught, and a lot of your learnings have come from Pete Vargas, 10X Stages, and Tamara Lowe's Kingdom Builders, and Dr. Robert Rome and the Personality Insights. Being self-taught, like, that's tremendous. That takes a lot of willpower and work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I don't like to fail.
and you were recently, I saw you had a little win, and it was because my little Facebook trolling of you, that you were on a webinar with Pete Vargas.
Oh my goodness, yes, was that Tuesday? Totally out of the blue and not expecting it. But I have a coach. We all invest if we're really trying to grow. And I've been reporting some numbers, and I get this email, and they're like, hey, we want you to show up. You made the leaderboard. You want to come find out where you're at? Don't miss it. And literally, I'm meeting with contractors trying to get in the building. I'm a hot mess, and I'm like, all right, so I rearranged my schedule, look like a hot mess. And the next thing I know, I'm like being shouted out for some fundraising numbers, and Pete Vargas and me one-on-one, and like answering questions on the fly. Talk about, wow. And then the next thing I knew, he's naming my name again, because, all these ministry records, because I took some of his training, and I went to Wisconsin and sat with Pat Quinn and crafted my message. And, you creeper, you're creeping.
But what you were going to say, when you invest in yourself, right? Like, I felt like that's where you were going with it.
Yeah, that's where the growth happens. That's how you just continue to thrive, and you tackle those fears, right? You leave the fear behind, and you just crush it. You just say, okay, what's next? And you get excited and hungry. And so that's kind of where I'm at, because anyway. Oh my gosh, I just love this. I feel like I could just talk for hours. There's so many good things to dig into, sir.
That's what happens when you have cool people on a show like this. I love talking to somebody like you. So I'm going to put a challenge out for you before we get to your mantra. The Great American Speak Off next year. I want to see you there.
Oh no, I didn't. I was like, I do not have the bandwidth. Honestly,
I get that.
I had considered it, but I was like,
I
I don't like to travel. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go
I
all the way out there.
That's it. Yes, I have the personally I have the bandwidth. Personally, I love all of that, the travel, and I have the bandwidth. I could do it, but I also have a family, and that family doesn't have the bandwidth.
Yeah,
They'd be like, remember, I still have to be the dad too.
Oh my goodness.
I always
That's
love to
true.
know what drives people and what, when you get your feet on the ground in the morning, what's the thing that stands out. And so I always ask about their personal mantra or inspirational quote or thoughts they have. And I don't know if that's true for me because I just thought about it. I'm like, when I wake up, I think I just wake up and stare at the ceiling for a little while and then I get up. I don't know but anyway, don't want to lose track here.
Yeah.
Yours is, and let us not grow weary of doing
Yes.
good work. Galatians 6:9. Is that Galatians? Did I say it right?
Yep. Galatians.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Galatians 6:9. Yeah. Let us not get weary of doing good works.
Tell us about that one.
Well, I just want to help people. I just want to help people be successful in whatever it is. And I don't ever want to grow weary of helping people launch their business, launch their ministry, whether it's sitting with a mom and encouraging her, or sitting with a volunteer and helping them find the strength to step into whatever's next for them that next season. I don't ever want to grow weary of just serving the people that show up in my lane. You never know. And so I just don't want to grow weary of it. I just want to serve with holy boldness and excitement. Oof. And I always want to really just be ready for the next thing, even though I can't keep up with God lately.
You're doing awesome. You're doing awesome. I think, I don't know if you have it written down somewhere, but serve with holy boldness. That was really cool. Is that something you say often?
Yeah, I do say it all the time.
Cool.
I read that book. What was it? It was a Chip Ingram book. And he talked about, how that's a lost thing and that it's okay to serve with holy boldness.
That's cool.
That we each have gifts and talents and we need to use them and we need to be proud to use them if we want to change out the holy boldness for pride. There's a fine line with that. Sure. But if you're good with it, use it.
Yes. Use
it for the glory of God or just the ability to lift somebody else. This is such a broken world. There's so much junk going out there. Let's just go out and do the good, and do it excitedly, do it with boldness. And who cares what other people think?
That's right.
Just get out there and just do it. Do the do. How old is that phrase? The do.
I am so inspired by you. It's just been such a great time with you today. You are truly an inspiration. I don't just say that. We've had some public speaking training here. We got into your ministry. You got me crying, and holy boldness. That's a keeper for me. I love that one. That's a really awesome one. It's just been so cool having you on today.
It's been an honor to get to know you, sir, and I'm excited for what it is you're doing, giving people the opportunity to come together, have conversations and grow and learn, because I've learned a lot too. And the validation of what I've been investing in. Thank you for saying, well done. Right.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Knowing that I'm not doing too shabby.
Nah, you're doing pretty darn awesome. You're doing pretty darn awesome. For all of our audio listeners, of course, this will all be in the show notes. But could you just share your different handles, way that people can creep on you?
Creeping on me.
Your different handles, your website. You have a great website there that has some courses, that has ways to get to know you. So if you could just share some of that for our audio listeners.
Yeah. CarolFairman.com.
I was going to say, it's just your name. I remember.
It's just my name. And, clear connect with Carol@gmail.com if you want me to email you the 5x5 plan that I use, because cool. I'm happy to help you, grow your business. And I think it's just Carol Fairman _ on Insta. Anyway. And I don't Yeah, I'm not really good with my handles. I just show up. A party happening everywhere. Come join it. If you want to be cheered on as you do your workout, I'm going to give you the virtual high five. If you need help connecting, I'm going to help you run your nonprofit. I do want to get with you later, Michael,
For sure.
and just kind of help you, get that up and going and work with your board or whatever we can do to do that. But it's just any way I can serve you, I'm happy to do that. You and the community as a whole that's listening.
I appreciate that. And so what Carol's speaking to there is you can definitely go to her website. It's carolfairman.com, and you can book a free consultation with her. And in that free consultation, kind of go over some of the things that I got to do on my podcast. So it's a lot easier than starting your own podcast to get your free 15 minutes with her. Trust me, having your own podcast is not easy. So just go ahead, go to her website and book a session with her, and you'll be able to get that. And then I'm sure I know that all of her social links are right there, so you can just jump on there and follow her there. So it's been a pleasure and an honor having you on today. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you, sir. It's been a joy to get to know you and your audience.
Thank you for listening to The Michael Esposito Show. For show notes, video clips, and more episodes, go to michaelespositoinc.com/podcast. Thank you again to our sponsor, Den 10 Insurance Services, helping businesses get the right insurance for all their insurance needs. Visit den10.io to get a quote. That's DENTEN.io. And remember, when you buy an insurance policy from Den10, you're giving back on a global scale. This episode was produced by Uncle Mike at the iHeart Studios in Poughkeepsie. Special thanks to Lara Rodrian for the opportunity and my team at Michael Esposito, Inc.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.